Suros Minahan, January 18, 2021, Talk Cosmos Chat, 10-minute section for today. And I was talking yesterday about Uranus going direct, which it still is since the 14th, and the fact of the chart and the records. Because if you have a solar uh, application, like a software program, you can get different material from it. I have Solar Fire. In fact, I have quite a few, but I'm using Solar Fire right now. And I want to show you something here with the charts because if we have, okay, yesterday and today, this is two charts yesterday, and they're both at AM, 12 o'clock AM on the 17th and the 18th from Kailua. That's where I am, Kailua Kona, Hawaii. And in fact, the waves are huge. They're 40 feet over on the North Shore, and here they're the biggest they have been in years. It's really powerful. And I can see why in ancient times, Poseidon, the Greek name for Neptune, which is the god of the ocean that the Romans took over. The Romans took everything from the Greeks and pretty much just had their own names for it, which I think is pretty commonly done throughout the centuries when we begin to think about the word traveling. And I talk about the word a lot. The nodes right now are in North Node Gemini, language and words with South Node in Sag is our really the bottom line of everything. Evolutionary astrology looks to that to redirect the commonality that we can become whole. And as a society for 18, a society for a global, for the earth, for 18 months, we're going to have those nodes. So back to Poseidon, the words, the thoughts, is changing from one ideology to the next, because really when you think about it, whatever it is, language and the word carries forward. It's very important to understand the power and the magnificent and the responsibility we have to truly feel and think to ourselves and to others. So with this said, Poseidon can be angry. That's what the whole idea was. They don't think of Neptune as so angry, but Poseidon had a trident with his spears, and he could be very angry. Well, if you look at that ocean, it has power. I'm living right on the shore in the most desolate, remote, not desolate, but most remote spot on the earth. Hawaii is like 3,000 miles from all these destinations. And one forgets, in a sense, until you see that ocean. And I know we had the eclipses earlier uh, recently. And where were they located? They were located in the ocean. And I thought to myself, well, because they were in Gemini, one was in Sag, it was the lunar one in Sag, and the solar one at that time back in December, because it's, well, we'll talk about why eclipses at another time. So, but it is close to when the sun and the moon are close within a degrees to the nodes because of the orbital paths. So the point being that I thought, well, the oceans are going to be really connecting. They're going to be doing turbulence. Now I know too, the sun flares can have a lot, and we don't, do we really? Science thankfully has a lot to understand, but there's so much for us to still ponder about these connections and everything. So right now, Neptune is squaring the nodes. And yesterday, as you can see on the 17th, the moon was right with it. Now, the moon and the sun, of course, the moon is very dynamic with the, the tides and and the water, but yet the wind also, I am told. My husband keeps telling me this. The wind, he has a lot of, keeps up with a lot of knowledge. And it makes sense. The air, the temperature is the wind, and the temperature rises the water from the ocean and brings it down again for that circulation of water across the globe. So we are dynamic. When you think about both the moon and Neptune, where they're in Pisces, the sign of the water, and in the mutable Sag and air of Gemini. Now, today, I hope I have enough time to really talk about this. What time do I have? Yes, I have time. The moon is in Aries over here. Isn't that amazing? So similar. And many astrologers know this, but yet it's amazing. If you look at all the placements, there's very little difference, but not that moon. That moon zips along, and it is now approaching, having left Neptune, and that sense of the mystical, of maybe some confusion, but maybe also acting with our thoughts and our beliefs, just from that aspect to now really getting initiating some forward heroic or combative. Yes, it can be emotions of with Aries, that aggression that we want. And here we're getting connected with our wounds of identity. There's a lot of defense with this. That's one aspect to remember. And, if we want results, because cardinal ideas want results, we want things now. And yet the now can be a moment. To see results, that's one thing, to see the belief in our moment that somebody is being affected by this impulse that we're feeling. But if we live in the now and think of it as that unity of moment connected with source, then we can be redirected in so much of a healing fashion so that we can find that center of us and have the conviction to be that identity, to be that force of being, connecting. Let's see another way of looking at this. I am going to go to, I think it is, no, if you are still with me here, to the reports. I hope you can see that. Now, here's the reports for today, and I showed them yesterday. Still no retrogrades. Well, the nodes are, but that's their natural path. The nodes actually start at 30 degrees, 29 degrees, and go down to zero. So retrograde is, in a sense, their natural path. But none of the planets are retrograde. Everything is going direct fashion. And today, interestingly, declination, that distance from the ecliptic, which is the sun's path, which all the planets orbit around, which is 0 degrees. The sun is at zeros, it's on its own path. And the planets go between 23 and a half or 23.44 to some degree. Nothing's out of bounds. Yet, when they're at the same declination, positive would be above the equator and negative would be below, then they have a conjunction, you could say, of spirit. Here we have the south node in Sagittarius at minus 22, and Pluto, which is in 24 Capricorn, and we have Venus at 12 degrees Capricorn. That's extraordinary. There is a real correlation here of the on a private basis, but we can see it on a collective mundane, as we call it, basis with the United States. It's approaching a very powerful time of an inauguration. So collectively, we have people feeling their own beliefs, and they're going through a lot of transformation as we interconnect with all the dialogue going on. Potentially, there is so much room for our value system of Venus and our relationships of Libra that Venus rules to in in Capricorn, that has great tradition and structure and rules and regulations. It's going through transformation. Blessings to all. We will continue. We have a path. We will be strong just from getting connected to that moment, knowing who we are. That's what we need. And we can build and create. Thank you.